Hi, Dr. Roizen. I will add you. And make sure to turn on your ringer. Okay, great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Great. So let's get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We're just going to get right into it. Thank you for being patient with us. But today we're going to be talking about nutrition and longevity. So this is Dr. Roizen's bread and butter. He knows all about this, so I'm excited to pick his brain. My name is Mia Sin. I'm a registered dietitian based in Charleston, South Carolina, and I've been studying and working in nutrition for about 10 years now. I'm also a scientific advisor to True Biotics and Life's First Naturals, and I'm excited to be joined by Chief Wellness Officer at the Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Michael Roizen. He is also a New York Times bestselling author and co-founder of the Reboot Your Age program and mobile app. We are both members of the Scientific Advisory Board for True Biotics and Life's First Naturals, and he is joining us from Cleveland. So welcome, Dr. Roizen. So happy to be chatting with you.
It's great to be joined with you, Mia, and I'm happy. I'm actually the Chief Wellness Officer Emeritus,
Okay.
and one. And two is I'm actually today in, of all places, Orlando, Florida, or near Orlando,
Oh,
at the
wow.
Villages,
Okay.
which is a retirement community in the middle of Florida.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, you're closer to me because I'm on the East Coast. So, Florida's pretty easy for me to get to. Are you going to go to Disney World? No.
No, I have a I have a talk today and another talk tomorrow, and
Okay,
so
so I'll work.
down here, so to speak.
Okay, well, that's nice. How's the weather there? Is it nice?
I I was only outside for a few minutes. It was gorgeous,
Oh, great. You can
and
tell
uh, and the
that.
weather you are.
The weather's pretty good here. It's raining a little bit, but it's still, it doesn't feel like winter yet. It's it's still like in the 70s in Charleston, South Carolina, but I'm not complaining. I'm a summer person, so yeah.
Well, it sounds to me like you're in good weather. The In Cleveland, I left there this morning, and it was 54 when I left, but it was supposed to get down to the low 30s tonight and start snowing. So
I left just in the nick of
all
time.
north will be envious of you.
Yes, I agree. Yes. Well, tell me about, your new book.
So I'll show it to you. It's called The Great Age Reboot, and it's really got three parts to it. The
Hmm.
first is the science that says we're going to be able to be 40 when our calendar strikes 90, with at least an 80% probability. That changes a lot of things, not only your financial, but your fiscal planning and your physical planning, because if you're only going to live 10 more years or 20 more years, or if you're 45 and only going to live to 65, bad choices, you don't have to live with that long. And you may not suffer from them. You may die from something else sooner. But if you're going to live to 115 with an 80% probability, which almost all the people under the age of 45 are likely to do, then bad choices and good choices get magnified over time. So the first third of the book is really on what the 14 areas of science in aging mechanism research are that say it's very likely, again with an 80% probability, that someone your age, Mia, is going to get to be, when you're 90, functionally 40 as of today. And if you're going to live to 115, you're not going to retire when you're 65. You're going to work longer,
Right.
and that's saved. So longevity won't be the problem, and it won't be the same as it is now. We think of 100-year-olds as someone drooling in a nursing home and not being able to remember whether the green stuff they ate was pistachio or peas. But in fact, you're going to be the same vibrancy you are now when you're 90, which changes an awful lot. So the first third of the book is on that. The next third of the book is on the economics and policy changes and what happens to housing, what happens to education, et cetera, if this happens. and our speculations on that. And then the third part of the book is what you can do now, what foods you should eat. I mean, there really are 6 major areas: stress management and what we call posse and purpose. The second one being, if you will, food and nutrition is the second most important. That is food choices, portion size, time of eating. The third is physical activity and the 4 components that have been shown to make a difference. The fourth is avoiding unforced errors like vaping and smoking. The fifth is sleep and brain health. And the sixth is some supplements and small molecules. We've been at the Great Age Reboot and the Reboot Your Age app. We've been asked to look at over 50 of them by people who are have subscribed or who have just written us notes and say, will you tell me? And about 15 of those have some real purpose. So that's what I do. And yes, my real claim to fame is I started Real Age, which is a website that still exists under ShareCare. In fact, it tells you what your real age is as opposed to your calendar age. That became a #1 New York Times bestseller, and I've had 4 #1 New York Times bestsellers. Real Age displaced Harry Potter for 7 days is #1 on Amazon. You, the Owner's Manual, displaced it for 35 days. You on a Diet displaced Harry Potter as #1 on Amazon for still the record, 177 days. And so, but actually the best book I've written or co-authored is this one, The Great Age Reboot, because it's really, it's not just slowing aging, it's reversing it. And that's what we expect to be able to happen.
Wow, that's incredible. And it sounds like you're really giving people tools on how to achieve that through your book, kind of like a step by step.
Give them the tools of what to watch for when we get up to what we call on the Reboot Your Age app. It's a platform where you're going to take off to be younger. But to get to that platform, in other words, what you want to do is not have any structural damage in your body. And I apologize, I'm a science nerd, so I'm going to use some terms that aren't probably perfect for everybody, but meaning you're going to be able to get to a point where you don't have structural damage. You don't have damage that's irreversible. And that's the key, to get to that point. And that's right, we have all the tools both in the book and on the app. The app, in fact, embeds some of those, such as it's got the best of the stress management tools scientifically. It's got Brain HQ, which is the best of the brain games, all embedded in there. So yeah, we give them a lot of tools both in the book and in the app.
Yes, that's great. Well, I'm excited to talk about these topics because I personally have seen a huge spike in sort of interest in these topics: vitality, youthfulness, aging, with all generations, millennials, Gen Xers, boomers, and it's a lot, it has to do a lot with celebrities. Celebrities are being more vocal about it, like Tom Brady, Cameron Diaz. And so I'm excited to talk about specifically how nutrition can play a role in living younger for longer. And so anyone that's watching right now, feel free to drop any questions you might have and we will get to them at the end. So Dr. Roizen, you know, as a dietitian, I am a firm believer in food first. So food can kind of act as medicine for our bodies. And I'd love to hear your perspective on this and how, you know, foods help our bodies age or anti-age, repair itself, fight infection.
Yeah, so I've done a set of videos that are on the website, the Great Age Reboot, called In the Kitchen with Chef Jim and Dr. Mike, which are, there are 106 of them actually. So if you go to Vimeo.com or even if you just go to Google In the Kitchen, you can get to them. But the key point is food is a relationship, just like a marriage. You wouldn't marry someone who is trying to kill you every day. You shouldn't eat food that's trying to kill you every day. You want to eat food you love, but that also loves you back.
Yes.
So there's some foods like, so that's my point of view. There are only what we call 5 foods that have been shown to be harmful. All the rest are ones that you can make in a way that you enjoy and that enjoys you back. So you may love French fries, but they're trying to kill you. Or you may love red meat, but it's trying to kill you in the vast majority of cases. So there are only a few foods. So it is, if you will, things that raise your blood sugar too fast. Simple sugars, added syrups, simple carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other group of foods are foods that combine amino acids, carnitine, lecithin, and choline, plus saturated fat. So you could take carnitine tablets, carnitine red meat. You can take carnitine tablets, no problem. But you take carnitine and, such as in red meat and saturated fat, your microbiome, the bacteria inside you gets.
Wow. That's interesting.
Those foods change which genes are on in those bacteria. So you not only get to change your genes, that is whether they're on or off, you control about 80% of them, you're a genetic engineer right now, but in fact, you change the genes, which genes are on in the bacteria inside you. So when you have red meat or processed red meat or egg yolks, you turn on the genes in the bacteria that make an inflammatory protein called trimethylamine that is more inflammatory, a higher risk for heart disease, stroke, memory loss, that's dementia, if you will, and cancer, and, if you will, wrinkles and erectile dysfunction than cholesterol is, or than even vaping or smoking is. So food is a key component, but there are things I love. I love salmon. I love avocados, and those are good for me.
Those are good. Okay. Well, yeah. So what you're describing, and it's what I teach my clients and readers about as a dietitian, is kind of focusing on the perimeter of the grocery store, more those fresh options, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and kind of avoiding the inside aisles where you're going to find those processed foods, those sugar sweetened products. Of course, there's a few exceptions that I would make, like legumes and beans. But let's talk about those good for you foods. So what are those good for you foods that you recommend we eat, and why?
Well, you've said it. It's anything, if you will, that's a cruciferous vegetable, anything that's kale or spinach, etc., mushrooms. It is any of those fruits and vegetables, and the more variety you get in them, the better. And then as a protein source, it can be legumes, such as, if you will, beans or chickpeas, or I love peanuts, if you will, and walnuts. Or you can have, the other thing I have an awful lot of is salmon and ocean trout. So one of the problems we see in patients is that they're so consistent in what they eat. Me too. So lunchtime, I almost always have a salmon burger and either spinach or kale or broccoli. Well, those don't give you the variety of nutrients you need. And so that's why I supplement with not only a probiotic, but also multivitamin and DHA, omega-3. Now, I probably get enough DHA if I'm eating salmon burger 5 days a week. I'm probably getting close to it, but in fact, you need more. You need to be sure. And so when I check my vitamin D and my omega-3 index, mine are low despite me getting that. So vitamin D would be another thing that most people have to supplement. And because I'm an old guy, I take an aspirin a day to decrease heart disease, cancer, and a few other things, inflammation in general. And so I take bovine colostrum as well because I don't get anything like that. So the point is, most of my patients, and I'd be interested to hear about your group, but most of my patients limit what they eat. Don't eat a variety of things. Don't eat enough of a variety.
Right.
So you have to make up for that lack of variety with some supplements.
Yes, absolutely. I always say eat a rainbow of produce. That way you're getting, range of those phytonutrients that are, found in the variety. So variety is so key. And I know that you are a big advocate of the Mediterranean diet, and I advocate for the Mediterranean diet. I call it a mostly plant-based diet. So, one that focuses on primarily vegetables, fruits, nuts, legumes, seeds, and also incorporates those nutritious, lean protein sources mindfully. So like the salmon, the ocean trout that you had mentioned, for those important bioavailable vitamins and minerals. And with my clients, the goal is to get more veggies on their plate. So I like to meet people where they are. So if they're currently a big red meat eater, if they do ground beef often, maybe replacing half of that with minced cooked mushrooms, that's a great replacement. You can do like half and half, and you can do that in tacos or burgers, kind of meeting people where they are, getting more vegetables on their plate. And I do realize that, sometimes, and this as a physician, that it's hard to meet our nutritional needs through food alone. And so supplementation can be so beneficial for certain individuals. And so you mentioned that you recommend vitamin D and probiotics, bovine colostrum. Anything else that you recommend?
Well, they're actually, as I said, in the Reboot Your Age app for people over the age of 50, we've been sent to look at 53, I think it is, supplements now. And there are about 15 that make a important addition. So we've already gone over vitamin D and DHA. That's the healthy component of fish fat. And then there is a multivitamin, so that's 3. 4 would be, I take an aspirin, and most of my patients do now. There's some risk in it, so you want to discuss it with your practitioner, because there's a risk of GI bleeding. And whether it's a non-steroidal like ibuprofen or aspirin, it can disrupt in your gut wall, and so I take bovine colostrum with it.
Mm-hmm.
I take coenzyme Q10 to help with energy as you get older. And then I take 3 different probiotics, but bifidobacteria and a lactobacillus GG, or specific lactobacillus, I take frequently. So that's 7 of the 15. And I don't know if I mentioned coenzyme Q10. I don't know if I mentioned phosphocreatine. Phosphocreatine is interesting. It's a bodybuilding thing for young people, but for old people, it actually prevents sarcopenia, the loss of muscle mass, and it also is good for your brain. So now I think I've given you 9 of the 15.
Very nice. Hello again.
I don't know what happened there, but
technology. But yes, we were talking about, supplements that you recommend, and a lot of those are new to me. But I'm aligned with daily probiotic, vitamin D. I think that many people could benefit from. A lot of Americans still fall short in vitamin D, even though we can make it, when our skin is exposed to sunlight. And then K2, I think that's another good.
Although you're in South Carolina, in the line between Atlanta and Los Angeles, between October 15th and April 15th, the sun doesn't have enough energy, even if you're not wearing sunblock, to convert inactive to active vitamin D. So,
that's interesting.
So
where was it again? Los Angeles
to Atlanta. If you live above there, I'm sorry.
There.
And you do, I think it is. I think South Carolina.
Yes.
So the sun doesn't convert inactive to active vitamin D.
Not enough.
Probably also wear sunblock most of the time.
Yeah.
And that blocks the conversion as well. So if you look at Pittsburgh, for example, where we have very good data, if you look at light-skinned people,
yes.
63% of them don't have adequate, and this is less than 20. We want a level of 35 at least. We prefer 50 to 80, but a level of 20 is in the disease creation mode. And 63% of light-skinned people are deficient, and 93% of dark-skinned people are deficient in Pittsburgh by April of every year.
Wow.
So there's a real need to do that supplement. So good
And
for you.
it's also not found in a lot of foods that people regularly consume. That those fatty fish, a lot of people don't meet their recommendation. We recommend 2 servings of seafood each week. I do more. It sounds like you
But
do more, but
yeah, but you need more. Eat salmon is the most plentiful of the vitamin D of the fish with vitamin D in it, and you only get if you eat usually 6 ounces of it. If you the normal portion is 4 ounces, so to speak. But even if you eat 6 ounces, you're only getting 1,500 international units of vitamin D. So if you ate it twice a week, you're getting about half of what the average person under the age of 50 needs, and a fourth of what the average person over the age of 50 needs. So you
wow. Okay.
really, there aren't many foods with adequate vitamin D. When we were kids, we used to get it as fortified
Right.
cow's milk. Most people don't get it that way anymore.
Yes, that's interesting. So you would say that most healthy individuals could benefit from a vitamin D supplement.
Oh, yeah. So you can get it measured. You want the level between 50 and 80. You clearly want to supplement if you're below 35. And so you can get it measured if you want. The Cleveland Clinic employee health plan at one point told me, stop measuring it, just give it to the people, because it's much cheaper to give it than it is to measure it.
Got it. Yeah. That's interesting. Well, I want to go into some Q&A. I know we have a few questions that were sent in, so we will get started. The first one, Dr. Roizen, I'm going to let you answer this. When should someone start a new supplement regimen, and when do you recommend people take them, morning or night?
It's like exercise. You take them when you're most likely to remember them.
That's
I
good.
I think you should, there's a compounding effect. And I never used to think of this, but in other words, the earlier you start, the healthier you stay, the less structural damage you'll have. So if you start at age, if you measure your LDL cholesterol at age 20 and get it treated from 20 to 30, you may only have reducing an LDL from 140 to 70, for example. You make 20% reduction in cardiac risk. But if you've taken it from 20 to age 60, you'll have about an 80% risk reduction by the time you're age 60, as opposed to if you took it from 50 to 60, you'd only have about a 10 or 20% risk reduction. So the best thing is start early. So although we almost say to everyone at 50, you should definitely be doing things, the earlier you start, meaning if you start at 20, it's better than starting at 50. Now, there was a question there from someone is, how much international units if I have breast cancer? Mine is low. The question is, the best studies have been done in breast cancer where
Okay.
we know that 35 is better than 30. We don't know that 40 is better than 35. We don't have that data. But we definitely know that since you do the measurement is, please do get your level above 35.
Okay. Good advice. The next question we have is, I'm curious about hair, skin, and nail health as I age. What do you recommend? So I'll take this one. What drew me to the field of nutrition is that, what we eat not only impacts our health and our longevity, but the way we look, the way we feel. And, science is continually kind of linking what foods, have an impact on our skin, our hair, our nails. And so I know that research shows that inflammatory diet, so one that is, a lot of fried food, fast food, those refined carbohydrates, that has been linked to kind of dull, lifeless skin. And so I like to, again, go back to eating your colors, eat the rainbow. Fruits and vegetables, they provide different antioxidants, phytonutrients that can help kind of combat any free radical damage. And some studies show that can help even reverse the aging of skin. or prevent it. And so I think it kind of goes back to following, incorporating more of those plant-based foods, especially those colorful fruits and vegetables. And another question we got was, other than food and supplements, what else do you recommend for a long, healthy life? And is it too late if I'm in my 50s? So Dr. Roizen, can you take that one?
When I was on 2020 in 1999, I think it was, Barbara Walters said, "When is it too late to me?" And I said, it's only too late to get a benefit when you're 6 feet under. So until then, you can do things that are healthy. Most important are posse and purpose. That is, stress is the greatest ager, and managing stress. And the most important ways of managing stress are having friends. Women do that better than men. Having friends that you're vulnerable to and talking with them routinely. And then it is having a purpose in life. The second most important thing is food choices, portion size, and time of eating. The third is the 4 components of physical activity. So everyone can do walking, and you shouldn't increase your physical activity more than 10% in any 1 week, but you want to build it up gradually. And so keeping habits, doing what we call on the Reboot Your Age app, My Choices Count, where you keep track of what you're doing daily, is what I think a key component as you build things up. The fourth is avoiding the unforced errors like skiing without a helmet, or vaping, or smoking, or even living within 7 feet of a freeway, 7 blocks of a freeway is an unforced error because of the pollution from it. And it is getting water which should be filtered in a specific way, and not knowing what your water, or what the water in your area has. So that's another, if you will, issue. And then the sleep and the brain games and the other things. There are 33 things you can do to maintain brain functioning. It's especially important for those people who plan on living longer. You want your brain to stay younger longer. And you can keep it young for a very long time. And then the sixth thing is those supplements, which we went over in a little bit of detail. But you can find out, there actually are over 180 choices you can make that change the way your genes function. And that's why we built Reboot Your Age, because the data is always being updated with more choices.
You can find your app in the App Store, like the Apple App Store.
Then it's Reboot Your Age in both the Apple app and Google Play stores.
Okay, great. We can take a few more questions. So it looks like Michelle's asking, time of eating, is intermittent fasting good to do? Dr. Roizen, you said that you talked about that a little in your book. Is that right?
Yeah, the time, we think that, something like an 18-6, 18 hours not eating and then eating in a 6-hour period, you can measure it by seeing what your glucose level is. If you get, there now are Dexcom 6 and Freestyle Libre 2, where you can put those on for a 2-week free trial. And you can find out how long do you need to go before your glucose drops low enough that you get to ketosis. That's one of the choices that people should, I think, consider. But even better than that is the data from Walter Longo, LONGO, from USC, for the 5-day every quarter. So once every 3 months. I've been doing it every month because it's easier for me to do it. Just check off 5 days on the calendar when I'm going to be home, and go down to 750 calories for 5 days. Do your regular other activities. The easiest way is a soup mix, which is in the book, but that Walter Longo actually studied initially. Now there's actually Prolon. So you can get Prolon, which supports his research, or you can go to the soup recipe in the book, or in the Reboot Your Age app. That is you can have 18 portions of that a day and still be under 750 calories, and that's a great choice. So that 5 days resets every biomarker of aging we know of. back to
Oh,
a younger age. So
and
that's
that's a new book.
choices. What? Yes.
Okay. Wow, that's fascinating. Um, are there any other questions that you guys have for us? We'll wrap up. Um,
There's a question on chocolate. So
oh, chocolate.
yeah, chocolate is a good thing. The flavonoids in chocolate seem to be beneficial for a number of functions as an anti-inflammatory. They're actually called flavonols. And it's you want to stay at an ounce or less of dark chocolate, and the higher the concentration of dark chocolate, the better.
The higher level of those flavonoids. Mhm. Yes. Yes, chocolate's a great, kind of healthier way to satisfy a sweet tooth. Yes. So doesn't matter the kind of chocolate. Yeah, like Dr. Roizen was saying, the darker the better. That way you're getting a higher level of those beneficial antioxidants. So yes, so thank you so much for joining us today. If you guys have any questions, you can contact us personally. I'm at Nutrition by Mia. And Dr. Roizen, what is your handle on Instagram?
At Dr. Mike Roizen, but the easy way is you can just ask our questions on the website at the info@greatagereboot.com, info@greatagereboot.com, or questions@greatagereboot.com.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Roizen. It was great to chat with you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank
And
you. Yeah.
yes, thank you for everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.